So for this unit's practice problem, we're going to start from scratch and create a brand new project. So again, I'm going to go into Visual Studio. I'm going to do new, not website, but web project here. And once I'm in project, I'm going to make sure I'm in C# web and do an empty project and name that. So I'm going to call this CIS 3049 Unit 5 Practice program. So I'm going to create this project for us, and then we're going to create a small database within this and do some simple editing of that database. So we're just going to create a simple application for maintaining our contacts, names and addresses and stuff like that. So again, I'm going to create a small database. I'm going to go into here, right click, do add new item, and switch over to data. And down here I'm going to go to just an SQL database. Again, if I was working on a phone, I would probably maybe switch to a compact database, but here I'm just going to use a SQL Server database. Here's my MDF file, and I'm just going to call this contacts. And again, it wants to add this to the app data file. That's fine. In fact, that's where we want this in that location. So it should add the app data here. And here's my contacts database. I'm going to open up that database and add a table. So under tables here, I'm going to create a new table. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to call this like the people table. And I'm just going to create some simple fields for their name. I'm not going to do a lot of addresses just to keep this simple, so I'm just going to do their name and email and phone number to start. So I'm going to put a person's name, and I'm going to do their last name and their first name, and then their email and their phone. And I'm going to switch this to varchar 50 for all of these. Okay, then I'm going to close this, so I better update this to create this table. I'm going to refresh my view over here, so if I can see my people table over here. Now I can close this. Now I can actually show the table data and add a person to this. So let's add a person to this. Okay, so we just type in a name here, Alpha Adam at aol.edu. Make up some fake numbers here. Let's see, what is my issue here? I don't know, my ad isn't working, and I'm remembering that I did not go back and make it so that the ID field was automatically incremented. So I'm going to go back to the table definition here, open that up, go down to my ID field, go down to identification specification, and switch this to true, and then start the seed at 1000. And then I'm going to update my table. Close this. Now let's see if I can add this field to my database. Yep, and so alpha was now person 1000. Now I'm just going to make sure this works. Beta and bb at 3.com. Okay, so now I've added some. So I have a people table out here, and my table is created. Now let's actually go in and create a form for this. So in my project, again, I'm going to add a new item. Go back under web and create a new form. I was still in the database mode, so sometimes when you go in to add new projects, you may not get the whole list that you want. If that's the case, make sure you just select your form over here, your project over here, and then you can either right click there, or now if you go back and say add new project. Often when you switch to a database, it's still in that database mode. Now I should be able to go to web forms and see my web form here. And I'm just going to call this contacts. I'm going to switch to design view. I'm just going to create a grid that will display my contact information. Let me edit that contact information here. So I'm going to bring up my toolbox. Under data, I'm going to grab a data source here. Configure the data source. And hopefully my contact MDF is here. And again, there's only one table here, the people table, and I'm going to route all the fields available. I'm going to want to be able to edit and delete this in this grid view, so I'm going to go into advanced and configure that. Test this out. It should show my 2 records I've added. Finish this up and try this out. Now initially it'll just display the data. It won't let me edit it or anything like that, and I will want to go in and do some editing for this. Of course, it doesn't display anything if I don't have an actual data grid there, so I've got the data source and that's all. So let's try this again. Okay, now that I have my data source there, let's grab my grid view and put that on the screen also. And for the data source, just select my data source here. Here I'm going to actually rename this data source so we get used to doing that. DS people. And then make sure I've bound to this DS people here. Regenerate that. Okay, now let's see if I run this. I should be able to see my people and my contacts. So here's my people. So I want to be able to edit those, so I'm going to go in and be able to enable paging, sorting, editing, and deleting all those values here. Right now I'm not going to change the paging at all. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. I'm going to edit the columns. So for here, I like this edit delete. I like that at the end of the row. So again, when I go into edit columns, the command fields are at the beginning. I'm going to move those down to the bottom of the end of the fields. For last name, I'm going to just say last name here. For first name, I just want it to say first name. Email and phone are probably good. I think I'll change the capitalization on these. Now let's see how this is looking. I always forget to stop this after I'm done running it. Okay. So I can again sort this in different ways. I can edit, delete. I can't insert, so I may want to add that option here. Um, but I can edit my field, so I can go in here and edit someone's name, email address, alpha, and then hit update so that it sticks. So let's just do a last couple roundup, finish off details here. Now for your assignment, I'm going to have you use the same sort of setup and create another page, but use a detailed view here rather than a grid view for that. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is delete the ID row here. I'm going to click over in that row and then bring up things and choose remove that column, not row, column, yes. And you can add and remove columns as you go here in case you mess things up, but I'm just going to remove that because I don't need to ever view the ID row. Now there's no way with grid views to add items. You need to use a detailed view or some other view for that. So I'm going to leave this here. Have you in the assignment now do something similar with a detailed view, but in the detailed view you'll also, like I say, be able to add new records to the database.